A man lay awake night after night, not because trouble had struck his home, not because something was due tomorrow, but because he looked up at the sky and suddenly felt it might collapse at any moment. The sun, moon, and stars might fall and crush his skull. The earth might sink away and take with it every place where he ate and slept. He grew too anxious to eat or rest. His body thinned day by day. His family could not talk him out of it. At last a neighbor, unable to watch any longer, took him to a wise man named the Enlightener. The Enlightener listened, smiled slightly, and said, "The sky is nothing but gathered air. The sun, moon, and stars are glowing clusters of that same air. Even if they fell, they could not hurt you. The earth is gathered soil. You walk on it every day. What are you afraid of sinking into?" When the man heard this, the stone in his chest dropped. He could eat and sleep again. This story is the origin of the idiom "the man from Qi who feared the sky would fall." Think about this: more than 2,000 years ago, people were already describing a sickness we know too well. The disaster has not happened yet, but the body has already given out halfway. Good evening. This is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we are reading Liezi. If you are already lying down, you could not be in a better place. Dim the lamp a little. Put the phone where your hand cannot quite reach. Pull the blanket up. This book is all small stories, like someone whispering fables beside your bed, one after another, with no rush and no exam at the end. Let us set the rules first: nothing to memorize, nothing you must fully grasp, and no notes. Just follow my voice. When you are done, you will carry away a few images: a man from Qi who feared the sky, an old man moving mountains, a giant chasing the sun, Liezi riding the wind, and two children arguing over when the sun feels hotter. Fall asleep halfway? That is fine. Liezi is probably one of the ancients least bothered if you doze off. The book also holds the man from Zheng who bought shoes, the lost sheep at a fork in the road, and Johnny fishing, short tales, one by one, like notes passed to you in the dark. Catch one if you can. Miss one? The next is still there. As for that man from Qi at the opening, did he truly settle afterward, or would new worries return? We will come back to that halfway through. And that neighbor who spent the whole night worrying for someone else, did he have sleepless nights of his own? Tuck that beside your pillow too. Liezi suits those evenings when the mind will not stop. The stories are short, the lessons hide in laughter, and you do not need to follow an argument, just follow the pictures. First, meet the book and its master. Liezi family name Lai, given name Yukou, lived in the Warring States period, roughly the same era as Zhuangzi and Mencius. Records about him are sparse. The grand historian never gave him his own biography. Our strongest impression comes from Zhuangzi. He could ride the wind, drift on air, light as a bird. But Zhuangzi immediately adds cold water. Liezi still depends on something. He must wait for wind before he can fly. That is not true free wandering. Whether Liezi himself wrote the book is still debated. What we read today has 8 chapters: Heavenly Signs, Yellow Emperor, King Mu of Zhou, Confucius, Questions of Tang, Effort and Fate, Yang Zhu, and Explaining Talismans. Scholars generally think many passages were added later under his name, not all from Lai Yukou's own hand. But whoever wrote them, the flavor is clear: fewer lectures, more stories, fewer standard answers, more room for you to weigh things yourself. In the Daoist lineage, Liezi is often said to follow Laozi and Master Yin, and to lead toward Zhuangzi. You do not need to memorize those names. Just know that Liezi and Zhuangzi are close kin, both love fables, both hide big ideas inside small jokes. Last episode we read Zhuangzi, Free Wandering, The Butterfly, The Turtle in the Mud. Tonight we read Liezi, Stories Closer to the Ground, Worries You Already Know. Will the sky fall? Will the road open? Is there a meal in your fate? Is a whole life worth bending for reputation? But the two men are not the same temperament. Zhuangzi is like a poet with too much imagination. He flies high, sees far, and often pulls the word eye apart for you to examine. Liezi is more like an old neighbor by the hearth, he is not in a hurry to fly. He asks first whether you have eaten and whether you have slept. The first chapter of Liezi is called Heavenly Signs. It opens by throwing cold water. Everything in heaven and earth has its cycle: form, sound, color, taste, all change. From birth through youth to age, like the seasons turning, nothing can block it. It even says, we feel alive because we have a body, we feel we have a body because we have breath. Breath gathers life. Breath scatters death. That sounds cold, but it is trying to lighten the weight of you are not an iron block forever. You are one breath inside change. The same chapter speaks of rainbows. Is a rainbow heaven's anger? Or heaven's decoration? Liezi says neither, it is only breath gathering, breath dispersing. You see a rainbow and feel beauty and mystery, but it is only a breath. Many of our moods work the same way: gathered, the sky feels like collapsing; scattered, you look back and it was only a rainbow. If a knot of breath still sits in your chest before sleep, wait for it to scatter. Do not rush to name it. Thinking this way before sleep sometimes loosens the body. Today's mistake may weigh less tomorrow. The same chapter also tells how Shun asked Cheng Xia how to keep the realm. Cheng Xia said, "Do not lose your one." That one is hard to explain. You can read it as the small steadiness inside, the root the world cannot stir. Lose it, even a great realm cannot be held. Keep it, even poor days can stay steady. Next may be the most famous and most misread tale in the book, The Foolish Old Man Who Moved the Mountains. Two great peaks, Taihang and Wanwu, blocked his doorway. Leaving home meant a long detour. The old man was 90, yet he led his children and grandchildren to dig and carry soil in baskets toward the distant sea. His neighbor the wise old man laughed, "At your age you cannot move a blade of grass on the mountain, and you want to move the peaks?" The foolish old man said, "When I die there are sons, when sons die, grandsons, generation after generation without end, while the mountains do not grow taller. Why cannot they be leveled?" The wise old man had no reply. The Emperor of Heaven heard and sent two mighty spirits to carry the mountains away. Today we usually tell this as persistence wins. Read the original carefully and you see Liezi cares about more than persistence. The wise old man stands for one kind of math: count the labor at hand, the visible years, the return on effort, and conclude impossible. The foolish old man stands for another: count times compound interest. Count I may not finish in one generation, but the next can continue. Two algorithms, two ways to live. Have you met a wise old man? Have you been one? A project just starting and someone says do not bother. A relationship mending and someone says let it go. You consider a new road and someone says at your age? The foolish old man is not telling everyone to dig mountains. He is asking, do you see only this generation, or the next one too? Many people miss another layer. In the end, heaven moved the mountains, not the old man alone. Human persistence sometimes needs a little patience, like waiting for wind. Dig with all you have, when the mountain levels may not be entirely in your hands. That is not lying flat. It is doing your part and accepting what follows. Before sleep, that thought is gentler than shouting keep going. The foolish old man appears in Questions of Tang. In the same chapter is another household story, Kuafu chasing the sun. He raced the sun, drank the yellow river and the way dry, still thirsted, headed for a great northern marsh, and died on the way. His staff became a peach grove. The tale is often told as dream big, fight hard. Liezi tells it more like a sigh: you may have ambition, but you must know where the boundary is. Kuafu was not wrong to chase. He was wrong not to know his jar was finite. Your energy, your health, your time, they are limited water. Chase if you must, but do not drink yourself dry. Overtime, grinding, proving yourself at all costs, sometimes that is modern Kuafu. Liezi warned 2,000 years ago, ambition can be high, you only have one life. If you tonight are still thinking just one more push, feel your jar, is it still full? Questions of Tang has another tale, two children arguing when the sun is hotter. One says morning, the sun is nearer, so hotter. One says noon, nearer, so hotter. Confucius passed by and could not answer. Liezi is not testing physics. He is saying, the same fact looks different from different places. Even Confucius had moments without answers. We folks today love arguing who is right. Liezi asks quietly, are you arguing about the same sun? After a late-night quarrel with family, hold that sentence. Are we arguing about the same thing, or each standing in our own morning or noon? We are about halfway tonight. While Kuafu rests, let me ask a small favor. If this voice has kept you company, please tap like and subscribe, like adding a little oil to the lamp in the dark. No need to open your eyes. One finger. All right. Let us continue with Liezi. Liezi in the book is also someone who learns, errs, and fears, not a god. One story has him learning archery. At first, when he hit the target, he felt magnificent and showed off everywhere. His teacher Masterine called him in. Do you know why you hit? Liezi could not say. Masterine said, if you do not know why you hit, you do not truly know archery. Liezi went home and fought hard for 3 years, no going out, no boasting. 3 years later he shot again. Masterine said, now you may learn archery. Liezi asked, why did I hit this time? Masterine said, hold and do not lose, as though lost yet not lost. Liezi understood, beyond technique, what matters is whether the heart stays steady. Knowing a skill is not enough. Knowing why you can do it, that is entry. At work, those who say I was lucky to catch the wind often last longer than those who say I am naturally brilliant. The second group floats, the first knows wind stops. More famous than archery is Liezi learning to ride the wind. He studied under Master Hu for 3 years, thought he had it, and went to see a man named Bohan Miao. Bohan Miao took him to a high cliff. Liezi's legs gave way. He lay on the ground, sweat soaking his shoes. Bohan Miao said, you could ride wind a moment ago, why not here? Liezi returned to Master Hu. Master Hu said, what you had was outer weight, outside conditions holding you up. Wind comes, you fly. Wind stops, you fall. True riding is inner fullness. When the heart is full, whether wind comes or not, you can stand. Zhuangzi says Liezi still depends on something, still waits for wind. That is this level. Liezi's book tells it more fully. Liezi really could drift in the wind, but Master Hu showed him that was still not the top. The top? Not needing wind and still not hollow inside. Feel that difference. Much of our happiness is also outer weight. Wait for promotion, wait for the house, wait for the child to succeed. Conditions arrive, we float. Conditions leave, we lie on the ground again. Liezi is not telling you not to try. He is telling you, after you rise, ask whether you rely on wind or on your own breath. Master Hu taught Liezi something even stranger. Liezi visited, Master Hu said go back, come again when I have changed. Liezi returned, Master Hu seemed another person. Liezi fled home in fear. He came again, Master Hu changed again, Liezi feared more. The last time Master Hu sat calmly and Liezi felt he could approach. Later readers explain this many ways. You do not need to grasp it all. Catch one feeling. A true master is not someone you can never read. At the end you can sit across from him at ease. A teacher is not there to frighten you, but to walk you from fear to calm to respect. Liezi also has a whole chapter on Yang Zhu, controversial, some say not Daoist at all, even heresy. Yang Zhu valued life itself above fame or the realm. He said, the ancients would not pluck one hair to benefit the world, nor take from the world to benefit one body. If no one plucks a hair and no one harms the world for gain, the world orders itself. That sounds selfish. Look deeper, it pushes back against warring states' fervor: sacrifice the body for righteousness, die for honor. You have one life. Do not throw it away for someone else's slogan. Yang Zhu is not teaching you to ignore others. He is teaching you not to erase yourself first. Overtime until hospital, spinning until sleepless, stiffening for face, in Yang Zhu's view, that is spending your life for other people should. Before sleep, ask, did I waste breath today on things not worth dying for? The Yang Zhu chapter also tells of the neighbor of the Xiang clan poor. He asked a rich neighbor how to prosper. The neighbor said robbery. The Xiang man copied him and was caught. Yang Zhu said, you learned burglary, not the way. A joke and a warning: do not copy surface moves. That can hurt you. In explaining talismans, a man from Zheng buys shoes. He measures his foot at home, goes to market, realizes he left the measure, returns home to fetch it. When he comes back, the market is closed. Liezi asks, why not try the shoe on your foot? The man says, I trust the measure, not my foot. Today it sounds absurd. Think how often we are that man: trust KPIs, not our exhaustion; trust others' judgment, not our feeling; trust how one should live, not whether this road under our feet actually works. The measure is dead. The foot is alive. Liezi does not lecture. He lets you laugh, then feel a small jolt in the chest. If you tonight still measure yourself by someone else's standard, remember you still have feet at home, they know best whether the road works. The man from Zheng is laughable. Sometimes we trust the measure even more than he did. Another tale: lost sheep at a fork. A neighbor's sheep escaped. Everyone chased. More people joined, more forks appeared, the sheep was never found and the searchers scattered. Liezi uses this: many paths lose the sheep, much learning scatters the will. Too many forks, the sheep is lost. Too much scattered knowledge, the heart scatters. Our age has more information than any before. Every fork has someone shouting, come here, the sheep is this way. Liezi is not telling you not to learn. He is telling you, before you chase, see which sheep is yours. If you scroll before sleep until you cannot stop, you know this lost sheep. Explaining talismans also tells of Zhuangzi fishing. No bait, only an empty hook in the water, and he still caught fish. Asked his secret, he said, I am not fishing for fish. Fish come to fish for me. I have no intent, fish have no guard. That sounds mystical. In daily life it can be simple: the harder you clutch, the less you hold. Loosen your hand a little and sometimes things drift toward you. I am not telling you not to try, telling you not to write must have on your whole face and scare away the person and the chance. In the Yellow Emperor chapter, the emperor himself is confused. He dreams of the land of Huashu: no rulers, no rule, people without fear, aging naturally. Waking, he understood, I have governed too much. Read this beside Zhuangzi's perfected person without dreams. Liezi through the Yellow Emperor says the more you manage, the heavier the heart. Sometimes manage less and people live more like people. If leading a team or raising children has exhausted every nerve, let Huashu remind you, not no care, just do not turn every nerve into rope. King Mu of Zhou has a long tale. The king rides 8 swift steeds west to Kunlun, meets the queen mother of the west, wonders and wonders, then wakes in his own bed. It was a dream. Liezi asks, how do you know this moment is not a dream? How do you know the king's journey was not a dream and you lying here listening is not? No standard answer, but it nudges the word real. How much of what you clutch by day is the jade pool in the king's dream, gone when you wake? I am not telling you not to live seriously, telling you grip too tight and your hands ache. Some scenes we're always passing through. In the same chapter, an old man in song feeds monkeys. 3 acorns in the morning, 4 at night the monkeys rage. He says, then 4 in the morning, 3 at night they are happy. Same trick as dawn 3 dusk 4 in Zhuangzi. Liezi tells it again because the story works, the total unchanged, only the words in your mood. Salary, bonus, benefits, new names, same numbers. You laugh at monkeys and at yourself. Effort and fate discusses effort and fate. Some strive without reward, some glide without much striving. Liezi gives no simple verdict, only the picture. Effort can be spent, fate has limits. Try hard, but do not load every outcome onto yourself. Accept fate, but do not use fate as excuse to lie flat. The narrow path between you walk it yourself. If something went wrong tonight, you can say, I tried. The rest is not all my ledger. That breath loosens and sleep comes easier. Effort and fate also tells of Beigongyu not flinching when skin is pricked, not blinking when eyes are touched, and Meng Shirshi fighting without thinking who the enemy is, only charging forward. Liezi comments, both are outer weight, hard propping. The true adept has no enemy in the heart, no I must win. By day when you wrestle with someone, often it is not the matter but the word I make I smaller, many battles never start, and sleep comes easier. In the Confucius chapter, most stories are later writers using Confucius's name, not strict history. One tale, Confucius sees a child offer him water in a broken tile as if it were a wine cup. Confucius drinks with full respect. A disciple asks, the water is dirty, why drink? Confucius says, he honors me sincerely. If I refuse, I wound the heart, not the water. Liezi through Confucius, ritual form may be light, sincere heart must not be. In life, those moments you should pay respects or reply, sometimes this child's plain bowl of water is enough. If messages or appointments still hang before sleep, do not count them all as debt. Ask first, sincerity or form? Another tale, Confucius trapped at Kuang, disciples afraid. Confucius plays the zither, tone unchanged. A disciple asks, we may die, why play? Confucius says, I studied rites with Laozi, music with Master Zheng, I have nothing to shame me. They surround me, that is their fate, not my fault. Liezi is not telling you never to fear. He is telling you to sort real danger from my scaring eye. Much anxiety, is it the men of Kuang surrounding Confucius, or Confucius surrounding himself first? Liezi on life and death does not pretend. One tale, Duke Zheng of Qi feared death and asked Confucius. Confucius said, death follows life as naturally as night follows day. Fear it as you fear night, and when night comes, you sleep. Liezi takes the story not to frighten you but to normalize fear of death. Fear is human. But fear rehearsing death every second is like the man from Qi, you lose the meal and sleep of living first. Lying down tonight, you have already outrun many still running by day. Night comes anyway. Let it come. Another story about steadiness, Jichang learns archery from Fei Wei. Fei Wei says first learn not to blink. At home Jichang watches his wife weave, staring at the shuttle, 2 years, lashes unmoved. Not enough, learn to see small. He hangs a louse from the beam, watches daily, 3 years, small as a wheel hub, large as a mountain. Now you may learn archery. He hits the louse, arrow tip touches its heart, the louse does not fall. Same family as the wooden rooster in Zhuangzi, true power is not gnashing teeth, it is steadiness others dare not disturb. You know someone like that, few words, unhurried when trouble comes, sits down and the room settles. That is not wood. That is ripeness. Jichang trained the eye, in the end he trained the heart. Whatever skill you practice, at the end you practice staying unshaken in chaos. Questions of Tang also tells of Shui Tan learning song from Jichang. Shui Tan thought he had mastered it and said farewell. Jichang saw him off, beat time and sang voice shaking trees, stopping clouds. Shui Tan knelt and begged to keep learning. Liezi tells this in the same breath as mastering teaching Liezi archery. You thought you reached the end, the door had just opened. People most often stop when I am good enough, and stopping is often the start of slipping back. If today you feel something is good enough, be like Shui Tan, listen once more. Maybe a verse you missed remains. Liezi also tells a version of the robber Ji different from Zhuangzi, tone flatter. Neither monster nor hero, only, each person has a fate, each person chooses. Liezi rarely stands on a moral high ground judging. He lays out ways of living and lets you choose. That suits a bedtime channel. I will not decide for you. I will tell the story clearly. Close your eyes and your heart will know. Explaining talismans, a man of song drives a horse. The horse panics. He pulls the reins hard, the horse panics more, he falls and is hurt. Someone experienced says, the tighter you pull, the more the horse fears. Loosen a little, let the horse find its rhythm. Liezi uses this small accident for outer weight again. The more you try to control, the more control slips. With children, partners, work, sometimes the same. Loosen the hand a little, not no care, but room to breathe for both sides. Questions of Tang also tells of people beyond the Eastern Sea, in a land called Shu, eyes behind ears, walking like flight, touching things like shadows, voices like thunder. Liezi writes such foreign wonders not for you to believe literally but to push normal farther away. What you call natural in one country or era may look monstrous elsewhere. We say everyone does it this way. Liezi says, everyone does it does not mean right or only. If you feel you do not fit before sleep, maybe you are not wrong, only standing in a different place. Heavenly Signs also tells of a lost sheep, neighbors rush to chase, one man stands at the crossroads still. Why not chase? The sheep is gone, chasing will not bring it back, better think how to mend the pen next time. Liezi does not say who is right. He shows two reactions, rush out, or pause and think. If you are always the one chasing sheep outside, Liezi is not scolding you, he is inviting you to stand at the crossroads sometimes. In the Yellow Emperor chapter, the emperor seeks the way. Zhuangzi says, you seek outer things, I keep the way. Outer things end, the way does not. Set the realm down first, then speak. The emperor does 7 days and nights. Then Zhuangzi says, do not weary the body, do not shake the spirit, you may endure. That sounds like immortality cult. In daily life it is simple, do not drain yourself dry. Body is form, spirit is mind. Spend both by day, then run in the head lying down, that is wearying form and shaking spirit. Liezi through the Yellow Emperor returns to the thing before sleep, settle the body, gather the spirit back. King Mu of Zhou also tells of Zhaofu learning to drive. He studies under Master Taidu, who tells him to watch and says nothing. 3 years of watching, then Master Taidu says, now you see. Driving is not pulling reins, it is knowing the horse. Horse has its nature, person has theirs. Align them and you go far. Same lesson as Master who teaching Liezi wind, not conquest, alignment. Driving, leading, relating, if you always wrestle the other, you drive poorly. See the other's nature first, then choose your direction. Effort and Fate also tells of a farmer cursing seedlings that grow poorly. Someone asks, can seedlings understand? No. Then why curse them? Liezi writes what sounds like nonsense, but asks, when you pour anger on things that cannot answer, what do you gain except more exhaustion? A boss can be answered or left. Insomnia, tomorrow's meeting, they will not answer. They only keep you awake longer. Swap cursing for looking, what do the seedlings need, what does tomorrow need, and anger thins. In the Confucius chapter, 2 children quarrel on the road. Confucius asks why. One says I arrived first, I go first. One says I am younger, I go first. Confucius says you are both right and both wrong. Liezi is not mocking Confucius. He is saying truth often has two faces. The fight is not over reason but over me first. Cues, seats, talking over others, often like these children. If you tonight replay a daytime quarrel, ask, were we arguing truth, or who goes first? The Yang Zhu chapter also tells of someone carrying a jewel by night, afraid of robbers, walking trembling. Yang Zhu says, the jewel is treasure in trouble. Not that treasure is bad, you showed it where it should not be shown. We carry such jewels: unpaid salary, unfinished project, unspoken secret, and proven success. We hold them by day and touch them in sleep, of course we fear. Liezi is not telling you not to strive. He is telling you, before you show something, ask whether you can carry the fear that comes with it. Liezi also holds an early version of mend the pen after the sheep is lost, the sheep gone, then they mend the fold. Liezi tells it calmly, lost is lost, mending still counts. We say why so late? Liezi says now is not too late. If today you only remember you should sleep earlier, scroll less, speak to someone, do not scold yourself for lateness. Mend the pen, the next sheep remains. Before sleep, kindness to yourself sleeps easier than guilt. Explaining talismans, a man from Zheng sees a wild cat catch mice, admires the pose, goes home and imitates the cat's cry. Neighbors think there is a thief. Liezi mocks learning the skin. Watch Liezi ride wind, shoot lice, move mountains. Copying posture is useless. Learn the breath behind it. Copying a boss's walk or an influencer's tone is often the Zheng man meowing, similar enough to startle, useless enough to fail. Ask what you are learning before you learn it. Now we can return to the man from Qi at the opening. The enlightener pulled him out of sky. Fear not with deep theory but plain speech. Sky is breath, earth is soil, you walk on it, you will not die. Modern anxiety sometimes needs such an enlightener, not to explain the cosmos, but to put your feet back on the ground. Whether the sky will fall tomorrow, no one knows. Tonight this breath remains, you can eat, you can sleep. That is enough. The man from Qi did not fear the sky itself, he feared the maybe that would not leave his heart. Liezi saw 2,000 years ago, many disasters happen in the mind before they happen in the world. The neighbor brought him to the enlightener who smiled, not mockery, but gently shrinking the sky. If you tonight also hold a maybe, you need not wait for an enlightener. Ask, is the sky falling, or am I worrying? Liezi and Zhuangzi lived in the same era, wrote their books, rarely mentioned each other. Zhuangzi said Liezi still depends on something. Liezi's book also knows free wandering, but closer to earth. Zhuangzi teaches you to be a butterfly. Liezi teaches you to tie your shoes, eat your meal, sleep the sleep that is due. If lately you float too high, read Zhuangzi. If lately you are pulled too tight, read Liezi. Last episode we left a man fishing by the river who pushed away power. Liu Gong in Liezi's book also flies, also fears, also stands on a cliff and finds he is not enough. One asks toward the sky, one asks toward the feet. Together, perhaps a full bedtime breath. One detail often missed, Liezi was poor. The book says poor and living as guest, relying on friends, sometimes without enough to eat. Yet this poor man wrote Value Life, wrote The Foolish Old Man, wrote The Man from Qi. No court experience, but eyes by the hearth fire. If you tonight worry about money, work, tomorrow, Liezi will not paint a billboard saying all will be well. He will tell a story so you can catch your breath first. Poverty was not his medal, and it is not your crime. It is just one ordinary place in many stories. Explaining talismans also tells of someone who admired another's walk, copied it at home, and walked lame. Same joke family as the Zhang man meowing, what looks good may not fit you, what fits may not look good. Changing jobs, cities, style, sometimes the world is not wrong, you are wearing someone else's shoes. If before sleep you still compare, why does their life look easier, ask, Am I learning their road, or my feet? Comparison is not sin. Sin is forgetting your feet remain after comparing. 8 chapters of Liezi, we have walked only part. Before sleep, 3 images. The foolish old man with children, basket by basket, not arguing with the wise old man, just doing the work. The man from Zheng empty-handed at the closed market, feet still there, measure still there, never brought together. Liezi on the cliff discovering his writing was outer weight and going back to Master Hu. You need remember no doctrine. One day when life presses hard, an image may float up by itself, generation after generation without end. Trust the measure or trust the foot, outer weight or inner fullness, and loosen your breath a little. Liezi's book has another trait. It rarely calls you stupid or demands you win. Like an old storyteller who finishes, looks at you, and says figure it out yourself. Figure it out and the sky brightens. No, it is time you should sleep. Bedtime reading was never for dawn. It is for entering dream. If Liezi knew you listen lying down, he would probably approve. Value life, value this sleep. You do not need to understand all. You do not need to remember all. A sleep counts as having read. Before sleep, a small question: which story feels most like your season lately? The man from Qi, the foolish old man, the shoe buyer from Zheng, or Liezi waiting for wind? No need to answer now. After you wake, tell me in the comments. I read every one. If you like nights like this, subscribe and tap the bell. Next episode we read the Diamond Sutra. Liezi in the Warring States spoke of valuing life and effort in fate. Centuries later Buddhism traveled east with a text that says dwell nowhere and let the heart arise, how to loosen the heart from fixation. One Daoist fables, one Buddhist scripture, different tone, both good before sleep. Next evening we will meet it. Finally, a Liezi-style way to fall asleep. Someone heard a sound in the rafters at night, thought a thief, lit a lamp and looked, it was a mouse chewing wood chips. He exhaled, blew out the lamp, lay down, and slept quickly. Liezi said, worry grows from small things, peace grows from seeing clearly. Much worry is hearing a mouse in the dark and calling it a thief. Much peace is seeing it is only chips. You ran all day. Not every sound in the rafters is a thief. Leave the lamp dark. Cover yourself. If it is a mouse, let it chew. If it is wind, let it pass. You only need to sleep. If Liezi knew that 2,000 years later someone still lay listening to tales of the man from Qi and the foolish old man, he would probably not ask whether you understood. He would only ask, did you sleep tonight? Sleep is valuing life. Sleep is not wearying form or shaking spirit. Sleep is putting feet on the ground and changing falling sky into breath. This sleep is longer than any fable and truer. If Liezi heard, he might only say, good. Sleep. That one good is lighter than any commentary, and enough. Stop here tonight. Leave the rest to dream. Liezi will not blame you for sleeping. He might even thank you for listening. That is enough. Truly. Sweet dreams to you. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.